Geobyte.
Hello friends, welcome to the GeoByte. In this video, I am going to explain the solutions for the previous ESET examination questions for the subject Design of Machine Elements. Since all the problems are equally important, my request is you please watch till the last problem. After listening all these problems, you do practice with pen and paper. Practice with pen and paper is very important to flourish in any competitive exam. That too, the design of machine elements is the problem oriented subject. Therefore, paper work is very important for the machine design. Look at the very first problem. The very first problem is two machine gears have 3:1 gear ratio. If the smaller gear has 12 teeth, the larger gear has. You are asked to find the larger gear number of teeth. You know, gear ratio equal to n2 by n1 is equal to t1 by t2. From this I can say that the speed is inversely proportional to number of teeth. As the number of teeth are less, the speed of the follower is more. The driver always running at constant speed. The driven speed increases when the number of teeth are less and vice versa. It means if the number of teeth on the driven are more, its speed decreases. Since speed ratio n2 by n1 given 3 by 1, 3 by 1, n2 by n1 is greater than 1, it means the the number of teeth on the second gear, the number of teeth on the second gear are 12, that is given the smallest gear, that means driven gear is smallest gear. Therefore the t2 equal to 12, because the t2 is the smaller number of teeth, the gear ratio greater than 1. So from this anyhow n2 by n1 is equal to 3 is equal to t1 by t2. T1 by T2. T2 is how much? 12. From this the number of teeth on the larger gear 3 multiplied by 12 is equal to 36. That is the number of teeth on the larger gear. Look at the options. Look at the option C. Option C is absolutely correct. I hope you got my point. So let us go for the second problem. Look at the second problem. Universal coupling is used to join two shafts. Dear friends, universal coupling is used for joining the two shafts whose axes intersect at small angles. Look at the option B. Wherever the two shafts are intersecting at small angles, for connecting those two shafts, we are using the universal coupling. I hope you got my point. Therefore, option B is absolutely correct. Let us take another problem. Look at the third problem. The crest diameter of the screw thread is same as major diameter. Major diameter is also called nominal diameter. Crest means apex point of the thread. If you join all the apex points of the threaded portion, you will get a diameter called crest diameter, is also called major diameter. Similarly, the bottom portion of the thread is called root. If you join all the root points of the threaded portion, you will get another diameter called minor diameter. Anyhow, By joining all the crest points, you will get the circle. That circle is called major circle. The diameter of that major circle is called major diameter. I hope you got my point. This problem is very important problem. 5-star problem. Most frequently this kind of problem is asking in the competitive exams. Let us take another problem. Look at the 4th problem. Pitch point is the point on the cam pitch curve having the maximum pressure angle. The point at which the pressure angle is maximum is called pitch point. Look at the options. 0 pressure angle, no. Option A is not correct. Minimum pressure angle is not correct. There is no such criteria, no. Look at the option D, maximum pressure angle. Option D is absolutely correct. Let us take another problem. Look at the next problem. In a flat belt drive, the maximum value of tension is, dear friends, the condition for maximum power transmission for maximum power transmission the condition is the centrifugal tension Tc equal to T max by 3. That's the condition for maximum power transmission. Tc is the centrifugal tension and T max equal to maximum tension. From this, the maximum tension equal to 3 times the centrifugal tension. This is the condition for maximum power transmission. Look at the options. The maximum value of tension is 3 times the Tc. Here Tc is called centrifugal tension. Therefore, option C is absolutely correct. Let us take one more problem. Look at the next problem. This problem is very important problem. This is also a 5-star problem, means most expected problem. This kind of problem is also frequently asking in the competitive exam, given like this. Problem reading is very important to understand very clear. Two shafts A and B are the same length and same material. Shaft A and shaft B. It is given that two shafts A and B are of the same length. That means here I can say that length of the shaft A equal to length of the shaft B. This is the one condition. Next, same material means the shear modulus for the A equal to shear modulus for the B, because shear modulus is the material property. Next, if the diameter of the shaft A is 3 times the diameter of the shaft B, let diameter of the shaft B is D, capital D, whereas diameter of the shaft A is 3 times the diameter of the shaft B is equal to 3 times the capital D. Then the ratio of torsional stiffness of shaft A and shaft B is torsional stiffness of the shaft A divided by torsional stiffness of shaft B. Torsional stiffness of the shaft B is how much? What is the torsional stiffness? First let me explain what is the meaning of torsional stiffness. As you know, the torsion equation is T by J equal to G theta by L is equal to tau by R. This is the torsion equation. From this, I can write that the T by J equal to G theta by L, or the T by theta is equal to Gj by L. Remember, the quantity T by theta is called torsional stiffness. Torsional stiffness. Torsional stiffness. Now, the torsional stiffness T by theta for the A divided by T by theta for B equal to what? G for A into J for A by L for A divided by G for B, J for B divided by L for B. Here length of the shaft A equal length of the shaft B, GA equal to GB, it is equal to JA by JB, JA by JB. But J equal to what? Polar moment of inertia equal to pi by J equal to pi by 32 into d power 4. D power 4. That is the polar moment of inertia. Now the JA, it can be written like this. JA equal to pi by 32 into dA power 4 divided by pi by 32 into dB power 4. Pi by 32 is cancelled. It is equal to dA by dB whole power 4. But what is the dA? dA equal to dA equal to 3 dB. So dA equal to 3 dB divided by dB power 4. It is equal to 3 power 4. What is 3 power 4? 3 power 4 equal to 81. So the torsional stiffness of the A divided by torsional stiffness of the B equal to 81. That is the correct answer. Look at the options. Look at the options. Look at the last option, 81. Option D is absolutely correct. I hope you understood this problem. You try to practice this problem at least twice. This kind of problem is frequently asking in the competitive exams. Let us take one more problem. Look at the 7th problem. The ratio of width of the rectangular key to the diameter of the shaft on which the key is fitted. Problem is given for rectangular key. For a rectangular sunk key, for a rectangular sunk key, the width of the key, W equal to D by 4, and thickness of the key, T equal to T by 6, where D equal to shaft diameter. But what it is asked? The ratio of width of the rectangular key to the diameter. Since width equal to D by 4, the ratio between the width of the key and diameter of the shaft is 1 by 4. Very simple problem, but it asked in the ESET exam. So answer is 1 by 4. Look at the options. Very first option absolutely correct. The very first option itself is absolutely correct. I hope you got my point. Let us take another problem. Look at the 8th problem. A closely coiled helical spring is subjected to a tensile load of 1 kN. Tensile load W equal to 1 kN is equal to 1000 newtons. So that the deflection due to the load in the spring is 1 mm. Deflection denoted by delta equal to 1 mm. 1 mm. To convert it to meters, 1 by 1000, 1 by 1000 meters, 1 by 1000 meters. Then you are asked to find the strain energy stored in the spring. Dear friends, the strain energy stored in the spring, easy problem. Strain energy stored in the spring, equal to half into load into deflection. Half into load into deflection. Load into deflection. It is equal to half into, what is the load? 1000 newtons. Deflection is 1 by 1000 meters. This 1000 cancel. The answer is 1 by 2 means 0.5. The load is in Newton. Deflection is in meter. Newton meter or joule. Because 1 Newton meter equal to 1 joule. Answer is 0.5 Newton meter. Look at the options. Look at the very first option. The very first option itself is absolutely correct. I hope you understood this problem. Let us take another problem. Look at the 8th problem. If the percentage of the slip in belt drive is yes, the percentage of the reduction in velocity ratio, that means once the slip is considered, what will be the reduction in velocity ratio? That is the problem. First let us take velocity ratio without slip. Without slip. Velocity ratio without slip is, let it be x. Velocity ratio with slip. Velocity ratio with slip is x into, what is the slip? Slip is given s na, x minus s by 100. Once the slip is considered, definitely velocity ratio decreases. So without slip, the velocity ratio is x. Once we consider the slip, velocity ratio decreases. Then what is the difference in velocity ratio? Difference in velocity ratio equal to x minus s by 100. That means velocity ratio without slip minus velocity ratio with slip. That is the difference in velocity ratio. It is equal to, let us simplify this value, x minus x plus s by 100. This x cancel. Finally it is s by 100. That is the difference. But it is asked percent of reduction in velocity ratio. Percentage. Therefore, percentage reduction in velocity ratio is equal to s by 100 into 100. These two are cancelled. Finally it is yes. That is the answer. I hope you understood. The percentage reduction in velocity ratio is yes. Option D is absolutely correct. I hope you understood. Let us take another problem. Look at the next problem. This problem also very important problem. Therefore I can say this is also a 5-star problem. 5-star problem means most expected problem in the ECET exam and other competitive exams. Look at the problem. Two closely coiled spring are made from same diameter of the wire. That means let us take the spring 1 and spring 2. Spring 2. Diameter of the spring 1, diameter of the wire diameter of the spring 1 equal to wire diameter of the spring 2. D1 equal to D2. Okay. Two closely coiled helical springs are made from the same diameter wire, one wound on 2.5 centimeters. So the first coil diameter, here coil diameter of the spring one is D1, that is equal to 2.5 centimeters. Okay. The other coil diameter of the coil diameter of the second spring, let it be D2, is equal to 1.25 centimeters. Okay. If both springs have the same number of coils, number of turns in the coil 1 equal to number of turns in the coil 2, then the ratio of the spring constants should be, ratio of spring constants means stiffness. What is the stiffness of the spring 1 by stiffness of the spring 2? K1 by K2 is how much? That is the problem. As you know, deflection delta equal to formula 64 W R cube N by G D power 4, where R is the coil radius, small d is the wire diameter. Then stiffness K equal to the load required per unit deflection. Stiffness K equal to load by, what is the deflection? This is the deflection formula. 64 W R cube N by G D power 4. This W cancelled. Finally it is stiffness K equal to G D power 4 by 64 into R cube into N. That is the stiffness. Then you are asked to find the K1 by K2. K1 by K2. K1 by K2 equal to what? G1 D1 power 4 by 64 R1 cube into N1 divided by G2 D2 power 4 divided by 64 R2 cube into N2. But N1 equal to N2. Number of turns remain same. If N1 equal to N2, I can say that these two are cancelled. 64 also cancelled. Assume both are made with same material, G1 equal to G2. Nothing is given regarding the G, that's why I am assuming that G1 equal to G2. It means both are made with same material. And it is given that D1 equal to D2. Then D1 power 4, D2 power 4 cancelled. Finally what? K1 by K2 equal to R2 by R1 whole cube. R2 by R1 whole cube. But what is the R2? Look at the R2. R2 equal to, R2 equal to radius R equal to what? Diameter by 2. So this R2 by R1 whole cube, I can also write D2 by D1 whole cube. Nothing is wrong. 2 is getting cancelled. But what is the D2? Look at the D2. 1.25. D1 is 2.5. 1.25 divided by 2.5 whole cube. Therefore K1 by K2 is equal to, it can be written as 1.25 divided by 2.5 is equal to 1 by 2. So it is 1 by 2 whole cube. It is equal to 1 by 8. So the answer is 1 by 8. K1 by K2 equal to 1 by 8. Look at the options. Yes, look at the option B. Option B is absolutely correct. I hope you got my point. This problem is very, very important problem. Shall we take another problem? Yes. Look at the 11th problem. Two closely coiled helical springs A and B are equal in all respects, but number of turns of spring A is half that of B. That means all other dimensions are equal except the number of turns. Given that NA equal to the number of turns of the A is half that of B, half of the number of turns of the B. Okay. The ratio of deflections in spring A to that spring B, that means indirectly you are asked to find deflection of the A by deflection of the spring B is how much. But what is the deflection? Deflection delta equal to 64 W R cube N by G D power 4. Only number of turns are changing, that's all. So here deflection of the A by deflection of the B is equal to 64 WA RA cube by NA divided by GA D power 4 DA power 4 by 64 WB RB cube into NB divided by GB into DB power 4. In all respects it is equal, means GA equal to GB, DA equal to DB, 64 cancelled, WA equal to WB, RA equal to RB, everything is cancelled. Then the deflection of the A by deflection of the B is equal to number of turns of the A by number of turns in the B. But what is the number of turns in the A? Number of turns in the A equal to half of the number of turns in the B divided by NB. These two are cancelled. Finally it is half. That is the answer. Look at the options. Look at the option C, 1 by 2. Option C is absolutely correct. This is also equally important problem. I can say this is also a 5-star problem. Very, very important problem. You try to focus on this particular kind of problems. Shall we take another problem? Yes. Look at the 12th problem. The module of a gear wheel of reference pitch is 6 pi is, it is given like this. Here reference pitch means pitch circle. Not pitch circle, circular pitch. Better to pronounce perfectly. Circular pitch. Circular pitch. Should be very careful. Circular pitch PC equal to pi d by t. But remember, my dear friends, module is the ratio between pitch circle diameter and number of teeth. Module is denoted by m equal to pitch circle diameter by teeth. So circular pitch PC equal to pi into this d by t I can write as m. But what is the value which is given? 6 pi. It is equal to 6 pi. Now compare these two. Pi m equal to pi 6. Then what is the m value? 6. Therefore module m equal to 6. You are asked to decide the module. Module equal to 6. Therefore option B is absolutely correct. I hope you got my point. Let us take another problem. Look at the next problem. This problem is connected to governor. A Porter governor is, remember, the Porter governor is deadweight type governor. Remember this point. Porter governor is deadweight type governor. Therefore option B is absolutely correct. You try to remember this very simple problem. Let us go for another problem. Look at the next problem. The angle between the line of stroke, that is line of motion of the follower, and the normal to the pitch curve at any point is referred as pressure angle. The angle between the line of stroke and normal to the pitch curve at any point is called pressure angle. Look at the option C. Option C is absolutely correct. This problem connected to the cam and follower mechanism. Let us take another problem. Look at the 15th problem. The maximum shear stress theory is used for, there are two theories when the shaft is subjected to both torque and bending moment. First one is maximum shear stress theory. Maximum shear stress theory is also called Gus theory or a fast phase. Gus theory. Remember, this theory is suitable for ductile material. Ductile material. The other one is maximum normal stress theory or Rankine theory. Maximum normal stress theory or Rankine theory. Rankine theory, it is suitable for brittle material. Brittle material. Remember, for brittle material, we use the maximum normal stress theory. For ductile material, we use the shear stress theory, maximum shear stress theory. Given problem is the maximum shear stress theory is used for ductile material. Therefore, option B is absolutely correct. Let us go for another problem. Look at the 16th problem. A solid circular shaft is to transmit power P kilowatts when running at n rpm. For a given maximum shear stress, the shaft diameter will be proportional to. It is like this. As you know, power P equal to 2 pi nt by 60. But a torque equal to what? Pi by 16 into tau into d cube. Tau into d cube. Can also be written as 2 pi n by 60 into pi by 16 into tau into d cube. Tau into d cube. But it is given for a given shear stress. That means shear stress is constant. The shear stress tau equal to constant. Tau is treated as constant. Then I can say that power P equal to 2 constant, pi constant, tau constant, 16 into 60 constant, and other pi into pi square constant into n d cube. Let this whole term is treated as constant. So power P equal to some constant k into d cube. Therefore, power P equal to constant into n d cube. Or I can say that power is proportional to n d cube, or the d cube equal to power, d cube is proportional to, not equal to, d cube is proportional to power by n. From this I can say that the d is proportional to power by n whole power 1 by 3. So this is very important relation. So d is proportional to power by n whole power 1 by 3. Look at the option A. Option A itself is absolutely correct. D is proportional to P by N whole power 1 by 3. Therefore, option A absolutely correct. Let us take another problem. Look at the 17th problem. For a hollow shaft of external and internal diameters 10 centimeters and 5 centimeters. For a hollow shaft external diameter capital D equal to 10 centimeters given, internal diameter small d equal to 5 centimeters respectively. the torsional section modulus in centimeter cube will be approximately, the section modulus, torsional section modulus he is asking, torsional sectional modulus is how much? The torsion equation is T by J equal to G theta by L equal to tau by R. Tau by R, that is the torsion equation. So from this, T by J can be written as the first one and last one equal to tau by R, or T by T R, 1 minute, the torque T equal to J by R into tau. The quantity J by R is called torsional section modulus or simply section modulus. The quantity J by R is called section modulus. Section modulus, or you can say torsion section modulus denoted by Z equal to J by R. J by R. But J equal to what? Pi by 32 into capital A power 4 minus small d power 4. For what? Hollow shaft. R equal to D by 2. So the torsion section modulus equal to pi by 16 into capital A power 4 minus small d power 4 by capital A. But what is the outer diameter? Outer diameter is given. Look at the outer diameter, 10 centimeters. Inner diameter 5 centimeters. 10 centimeters. Inner diameter 5 centimeters. So section modulus equal to pi by 16 into 10 power 4 minus 5 power 4 by 10. You simplify this value. To get approximately 937.5 into pi. Simplify this value divided by 16. The unit is cm power 3. So this is the answer. 937.5 into pi divided by 16. Look at the options. Option A itself is looking correct. 937.5 into pi by 16. Therefore option A is absolutely correct. I hope you got my point. Let us take another problem. Look at the problem for the keys. In designing a key, it is assumed that the distribution of forces along the length of the key. In general, the keys are designed by assuming the force remains uniformly distributed. Once again, let me read the problem. In designing key, it is assumed that the distribution of force along the length of the key is uniformly distributed throughout the length. The answer is varies linearly. No. B is uniform throughout the length. Absolutely correct. Generally, the keys are designed or constructed with the assumption that the force remains same throughout the length of the key. I hope you got my point. Let us take another problem. Look at the problem. When a sleeve of Porter governor moves upwards, remember the Porter governor sleeve upwards or any governor sleeve moving upwards when the governor speed increases. But if the governor speed decreases, the sleeve moves down. For this problem, the sleeve of Porter governor moves upward means the governor speed must be increasing. Therefore, option A absolutely correct. Remember, if the speed n increases, the sleeve moves upwards. The sleeve of any governor moves upwards. If the speed of the governor decreases, the sleeve of any governor, this is not only connected to Porter but also for any governor. Decreases. Decrease means the sleeve is moving down. I hope you got my point. Let us take another problem. Look at the 20th problem. The purpose of guide pulley. Dear friends, if the pulley shafts are not parallel to each other, if the pulley shafts are not parallel to each other, we are making use of guide pulley to connect that kind of pulleys by means of a belt drive. Anyhow, the purpose of guide pulley is to connect the two non-parallel shafts. For connecting the two non-parallel shafts, we are using the guide pulley for the belt drive mechanism. Option A is absolutely correct. Look at the next problem. Which one of the following is valid when using involute gear tooth profile? Dear friends, involute gear tooth always maintaining the smooth running or the perfect running. Look at the option A. Varied pressure angle. No. Smooth running. Absolutely correct. This point is very important point. Remember, involute gear tooth always maintaining smooth running or the perfect running. Therefore, option B is absolutely correct. Let us take another problem. Look at the next problem. The deflection of helical spring is directly and inversely proportional. Directly and inversely proportional to respectively to. As you know, deflection delta equal to 64 W R cube N by G D power 4. Here capital R equal to capital D by 2. Capital D by 2. Therefore, it can be written as 64 W R equal to D by 2 whole cube N by G into D power 4. Here remember, capital D equal to coil diameter and small d equal to wire diameter. Clarity in the information is very important. It can be also written as deflection equal to 64 into W into D cube into N by 8 into G into D power 4. Is asking relation between the deflection capital D and small d. From this I can write that deflection is directly proportional to D cube and deflection is inversely proportional to D power 4, small d power 4. So answers are respectively capital D cube and small d power 4. Capital D cube and small d power 4. Look at the option D. Option D is absolutely correct. Deflection is directly proportional to cubic power of coil diameter and is inversely proportional to fourth power of wire diameter. I hope you got my point. Let us take another problem. Look at the last problem. The use of flexible coupling is, dear friends, the coupling is used for connecting the two shafts. There are two types of couplings. First one is rigid coupling. Rigid coupling is used for connecting the two shafts which are on the same axis. Let this is the one shaft and other shaft. To connect these two shafts which are on the same axis, we are using a coupling called rigid coupling. Example for rigid coupling are the sleeve coupling, sleeve or muff coupling, second one the flange coupling. But there are some arrangement where you need to connect the two shafts which are misaligned. That kind of coupling is called the flexible coupling. Flexible coupling. Flexible coupling is used for connecting the two shafts which are on different axes. Let this is the one shaft, and other shaft may be like this, maybe like this. Like this. So these two are not on the same axis. These two are the laterally misaligned. For connecting this kind of shafts which are laterally misaligned, or some other shafts may be like this. One shaft axis may be like this, other shaft axis may be like this. This is the shaft 1 axis, the shaft 2 axis. To connect the shafts which are misaligned angularly, for connecting the angularly misaligned shafts and laterally misaligned shafts, we are using a coupling called flexible coupling. The example for flexible coupling are the example bushed pin coupling, universal coupling, Oldham coupling. Anyhow, remember, bushed pin coupling, universal coupling and Oldham coupling, these three are coming under flexible coupling. Flexible couplings are generally used for connecting the two shafts which are misaligned. That misalignment may be either in terms of angular or lateral. Now look at the problem. The use of flexible coupling. The problem given for flexible coupling like bushed pin coupling, universal coupling, Oldham coupling. Look at the options. To prevent the shock transmission and to eliminate stress reversal. Absolutely correct. The flexible couplings are used for avoiding the shock transmission and to eliminate the reversal stresses. You remember this point? So anyhow, with this problem, my dear students, I am concluding this video. In the next video, I will discuss some more important problems for you. Dear friends, you please once again go through all these problems. If you find any doubt, if you have any doubt regarding all these problems, you please send your doubt to the GeoByte. Definitely you will receive the answer within 24 hours. Thank you. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe our channel called GeoByte. I will upload some more videos not only for machine design but also for thermodynamics, power plant, refrigeration and air conditioning, and heat power engineering. Thank you once again. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.
GeoByte.